Alright, welcome back, and let's kind of bring this into a practical application here. So I'm going to create a new class here, and let's do this. Let's say read CSV. So I'm going to have this be a main. So I want to do, we know how to work with some collections and some lists and some data structures, but now let's actually do something useful. So let's say this method will read data from a CSV file. Okay, so how are we going to read data from a CSV file? First, let's create a CSV file. So I'm going to open up Notepad, and I'm going to create some data while I pause this. Okay, so we have something like this. I'm going to say save this, and I'm going to save this in my test files. I'm going to call this user, I'll say accounts, right? Accounts.csv. Put these in quotes, and now we'll have our CSV file right there. Okay, so close this down. So we need to write something that's going to actually read this and parse the data by commas. So first we want a collection, right? So I'm going to say we want a list of string arrays of data equals, so we'll say new array list of string empty constructor. Okay, bring in these libraries, the list and the array list. Now, why did we use a collection instead of an array? Well, we don't know how many sets of data we have, right? We might have right, the one that I had maybe had 5 or 6 users. What if tomorrow it has 8 users? So we need a way to handle that dynamically growing or unknown amount of the list. So we want a list, not an array. Okay, so it's going to be pretty simple. We have our same thing, our buffered reader, br equals new buffered reader, and we'll take the new file reader, and we need our file path. So we have string file name equals the path, right? So this right here, / accounts.csv. Okay, now we're gonna put that inside here, and we're gonna put all this inside of course, bring in these imports, and then surround these with a try catch. Okay. Alright, very good. And let's see here. So the first step is, of course, open the file. Then we're going to read the data as long as it's not empty. Okay, so what does that mean? So we don't know how many things are in this data set, in this file, so we want to say as long as br.readLine, as long as this is true, okay? So, or as long as it equals something, right? So as long as this does not equal null, okay? As long as this does not equal null, what we actually want to do is say we want to put this into, we'll say a string test row is equal to this statement. Oops, test row. And as long as this is not equal to null, then we're going to do some things. Let's see, I'm probably missing some. Let's see, I want to put this inside there. String test row. Actually, we need to declare this here, and then we'll use it down here. Yeah. Okay, and then of course this could throw an exception, so we'll add a catch to the surrounding try. There we go. Okay, so this is nothing really new, and actually I'm just call this data row. So this is nothing new, right? Everything here is fine. It's just we have a a collection that we're actually going to be working with. So before we had just read when we talked about files. Now we're doing a read line, and for every line that's going to go into this variable data row, and then for that we're going to say string line equals data row dot split. So what this is going to do is split the data row based on commas. Okay, so that's all this is. This is parse the data by commas. That's what that method does. That's what the dot split with a comma in there. And then what do you do? We take data, our collection, dot add line. So this is add the data to the collection. Okay, so that is it. Let's make sure this is working. So when we're all done, now we should be able to say we should do we'll do a for each, so we can print for each string array inside the data set. String array what? String array accounts and data. We're going to again print for each string field and account. So we're just going to make sure that this is actually we can just, since it's a collection, we can just say sysout, we can just print data, and this should print just fine. Not the arrays, right, because it's a collection of arrays. So we can't print the array, so we are going to have to iterate through this. I forgot. So go back to what we had. We had our for each, so we have our string, and for each field in account we are going to print field. Okay, so I know this is not going to look too pretty, but the point is not necessarily to make it look right. It's just to make sure that's working. So I think this is how it should be. There we go. And I'll just add a little concatenation there. Okay, so there are our that's the data in our CSV file. So we successfully were able to open the file, read the file, parse the data, add it to the collection. Then, of course, when we're done, we want to br.close. There we go. Okay, so that's how we read data from a CSV file. Of course, you can read things from a database and from Excel, but for the purpose of this course, we want to see how to go read a file with multiple sets of data, how to parse that, and the algorithm for the other things are pretty much the same, just with different libraries. So the main thing we see here is how to read multiple sets of data and handle multiple fields.